The agenda is approved. Savannah, you want to present the budget, please?
I will make the presentation. Thanks everyone for coming out on this Wednesday afternoon. What I have is, or what you all have in front of you and what's been posted online is the proposed budget ordinance, which includes the budget message. So I have a couple of slides I'm going to ask Josh to put up. He said he might need just a minute, so we'll wait for those to come up. And then I'll just go through my budget message, which is, I think, a good summary. We'll wait one more second.
We just walked in. I dropped Katie off and came down to the house. We got 62. Shut everything off. It must have been cold here.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and we'll let the slides catch up with us. Oh, there they are. Look at that. Josh, you can just go to the next slide. So I am pleased to present the 25-26 proposed budget for the town of Montreat. I'm going to go over an overview, but I want to emphasize that this budget has no tax rate increase, that our major investment in this budget is in staff, and obviously we will be navigating ongoing recovery from Hurricane Helene. Josh, you can go to the next. So the proposed total budget is $2,502,815. This represents a 5.79 decrease from the current fiscal year. General fund revenue is projected at $2,077,915, which is a 6.94% decrease. So, of course, we are trying to maintain careful attention to making sure that we have a balanced financial plan without compromising the quality of our service or our long-term priorities. There are expenditures by department, administration and police being our biggest spenders this year. Streets has gone down quite a bit, and that is because most projects related to street maintenance will be coming out of our Fund 29 account, which is the Hurricane Helene Recovery Fund, and not the general fund. So some of our challenges, Josh, you can go to the next. Some of our challenges include, of course, aging infrastructure. We have I just lost my place. I'm sorry. We have aging infrastructure, evolving community expectations as it relates to Helene, and then, of course, inflationary pressures, just like every other municipality in the country right now. They're not getting cheaper. Our key budget drivers are 4% merit-based salary increases. This will be up to 4%, and it will be based on performance reviews. As you all know, we had a very thorough police budget presentation. That will be a 13.36 increase for their budget. We are not able this year to do the take-home car program, so that is not included in the police budget. Increase in sanitation, tipping fees are going up, and the volume of trash that we are dealing with is also going up. And then I've already talked about the street maintenance decrease. So those are some of the major highlights of this budget. Josh, you can go to the next one. I've mentioned our challenges, but I have not talked about our opportunities. So we do have a good fund balance. As you all know, we have an internal policy of 40%. We are slightly below that right now due to having to transfer some money from fund balance to help cover expenses related to recovery. I think we did that back in January or December. But either way, though, we are still in good condition there. We have plenty of money in fund balance, and we are not below the state's requirement, so we will not be in any danger of being put on the LGC's list. And then we'll also be continuing to pursue grant opportunities, cash flow loans, and other cost-sharing opportunities that may arise to help us with our spending. Okay, Josh, we can go to the next. I mentioned that the tax rate is staying the same, which is 43 cents per $100 valuation. And our estimated collection rate for this year was 99.69%, which is great. We have obviously very strong and high tax collection rate. Okay, Josh, we can go to the next.
Did
Go
that
ahead.
go up over last year yet, or down?
Do you know? We can get back to you on that. Yeah. I would imagine that it's pretty stable. If it did go up or down, I would think that you're talking points of a
Yeah,
percentage.
they're actually going to redo the valuation
Next, yeah.
year.
Yeah, in this coming fiscal year, yeah. Okay, so this is a lean budget, as always, because we have a finite amount of money to work with. But what we are trying to focus on is maintaining and improving our essential services while making sure that our staff is appropriately compensated. And then we want to continue looking into our partnerships with the state and nonprofits in the area to make sure that we are taking advantage of every opportunity that we can. So our numbers are the following. So our water fund revenue is projected at $424,900, which is a 0.27% change, very small change there. General fund revenue, I've said we expect to go down to $2,777,915. That's a nearly 7% decrease. So overall, our combined budget will be $2,502,815, which is a 5.79 decrease from the 24-25 fiscal year. And Josh, you can go to the next. Oh, that may have been it. Oh, yeah, that was it. So that's the budget overview. I am happy to answer any specific questions that you have, or we can go into the public comment period.
Any questions?
You mentioned the fund balance, what percent is the fund balance?
I don't know. Have you done the actual math on that to get the new percentage?
Not actual percentage, we're under the 40%, but not much.
And we can get back to you with the exact,
That's
yeah.
okay.
We'll get that, maybe we can email it to you just to let you know for sure.
In the budget meeting that you and I had, we were talking about water fund revenues. Did you not do anything with that?
We did, yes, and I meant to talk about the water rates are going up, and I have those somewhere. Let me pull up my notes. I'm sorry, hold on one second. I thought I had it pulled up already, but I do not.
Tom, if you look at the second page or the back of the ordinance where it shows the revenues,
Yes.
it is the increase was factored in there, but the water transfer fees went down, water taps went down.
You mean the volume, the projected volume for next
Yes,
year?
yes,
So tap fees went down.
yep. The water tap fees, the billing fee revenue went down slightly. What else? The late fees went down. And the water transfer fees I think the water transfer fees might have went up. But it is factored in there. But we haven't made what we projected in those line items for revenue this year. So we lowered them for this next fiscal year.
How many weeks of revenue did we lose because of Helene? About 3 weeks?
Yeah. And then, there was people, weren't coming, or they weren't staying in their homes. So there was a lot of that. And then,
So, thank you, Rachel. Sorry it took me a minute to get that pulled up. I will just go over the changes that we made to the water rates. So, residential water rates will now be at $15.66. The water access fee for out of town will be $25.53. The water rate for folks in town limits will be $6.57. And the water rate for outside of town limits will be $10.71. Meter set and meter tap are going to remain the same. Water access fee for a 3/4 inch line will be $15.66. Water access fee for a 1 inch line will be $97.91. Water access fee for a 2 inch line will be $237.82. A fire suppression line, which is a 2 inch fire suppression line, will be $80.33. Consumption, so level 1, which is up to almost, well, I guess it's 4 million gallons, will be level 1, and that's going to be $8.43. Level 2, which is 4 million gallons or more, will be $10.32. And then level 3, I do not have in front of me, but that went up 10%. And I don't have exactly what that rate is, but it did go up 10%.
Oh, that's the fire control suppression systems, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even with those increases, those projected revenue increases, they're being balanced out by the lower billing fee, tap fee, late fee, for just a total of a $1,000 increase.
That's right. Yes. And we used to do, which, I mean, it's good that we're not seeing the late fees that we used to, but since we've made the change to online billing, we see a lot more people paying their bills on time. So not as many late fees.
But, I can understand last year's revenues, consumption revenues being down because there was quite a long period of time when folks didn't come back. But that hopefully won't happen again this year.
Yes.
So is there really the need to drop it to last year's consumption revenue levels as opposed to taking that projection and adding to it and subtracting
Yeah.
the tax.
I think our thought was just to try to be conservative. Obviously, last year was hopefully a bit of an anomaly, but we can certainly try to maybe average it out of the last maybe 3 years and come up with something and see if that makes a material difference. But
Yeah, it may
Yeah.
not, but
yeah,
I'm really not expecting maybe the number of people coming this year as we have had other years. I think we still could be building up our community to come back to Montreat. So.
Any other questions?
Savannah, were
Yes.
there any, I know it's not high on the list, but we did talk about having an overall rate study of various town services other than water. Did that get filtered in? I know you've had a lot to do, and that's probably been on the bottom of the priority list.
we have, to some extent, not as deeply as we wanted to look at the fee schedule, but we have some other fees that are also going up. I know we have some building inspection fees that are going up, and some permitting fees that are going up as well.
Other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, I'll open the floor to a motion to open the floor for a public hearing.
I move.
Public. Have a motion from Commissioner Alexander. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Widmer. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Floor is open for public comment.
I know this is a very difficult year to preparing a budget. As Celine has shown us, we need a very healthy fund balance. And just a little bit of history, years ago, when it was 8% threshold, we got a letter from the local government commission saying we should have 100%. Oops, sorry. Because we have such a small budget that 8% would not replace a bridge. So I'm happy to see that y'all have upped that number. And I know people don't like to talk about tax increases, but a few cents every couple years is much easier for homeowners to stomach than a huge increase at one time. 3 cents is easier than 10 cents. And we only have the totals for this budget ordinance, so I don't know the weeds. And so I have a couple questions about the weeds that I hope you'll answer during your discussion. How much is a penny worth for our revenue? How much is a penny worth? People say we have a really high tax rate, but our penny is very different from the penny in Black Mountain or Asheville. Were the staff who did not meet the living wage for the threshold this year, were they brought up to $23.15 before the 4% increase? And we're blessed with a staff that goes above and beyond to make this a community that we love to be in. And that costs money, and we need to be willing to provide the equipment and materials that our staff needs to do their job well. And I see the public works has decreased, but Helene damage and the deferred maintenance, it seems to me that they need an increase to take care of those problems that they'll have. The street maintenance was decreased because of your Recovery 29, I understand that. But what happens next year? You've dropped $200,000 out of the street maintenance budget. How are you going to make that up next year? Because our road problems are going to continue here in Montreat. And were funds included for continuing ed and certifications? And is the capital improvement plan available for us to see for the next 5 years? And what's the special assessment of $22,000? What's that for? Those are my questions. Thank you.
So I stay up there because I don't think I can remember all of your questions. But yes, all full-time staff who are currently making below the Buncombe County living wage will be moved to the $23.15 an hour before the 4% merit The special assessment, I believe that is for some road work that was done on Peace and Providence years ago.
Okay.
So that's that question. How much does a penny get you? I know that that is in my notes somewhere, but, okay. I'll look. We do have that. I'm sorry? Yes, education and certification, we still have our travel and training budgets in place.
Okay. And why is the public works decreased so much? Because they have huge needs.
Yes, they do have huge needs. And so some of that is because we're not doing any projects this year out of the general fund. We're running all of our projects through the Fund 29 account.
Okay.
I hope that will not be the case next year, but I think likely what we'll see is that most of our projects are coming from that recovery account, I would think for probably 3 fiscal years, realistically. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Letta Jean.
Anyone else? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Fouché to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Mayor, I'm happy to answer any other questions that you all have. And if you want some time to look over this, because I know that you're just seeing the budget ordinance, we can also, the important part was that I presented it today. We can also wait and do the vote at our June council meeting. So I just wanted to make sure that you all had that option as well.
Does that suit the commissioners to have a final vote on in June?
Yes,
Tom?
Yes, I'd prefer that too.
yes.
Okay, I thought you had another question. I'm sorry.
When will we be getting the detail?
So I can send the full sheet with every department and the fee schedule this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know this is just for budget, but are we allowed to talk about the recovery?
I think
budget?
probably a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
What question do you have?
Well, just sort of an update on how that's going.
Sure. So things are actually going well. We have several projects that have been obligated now with FEMA, which means we are literally just waiting for the money to be sent to us, which is great. Joe Stanton, who is the director of North Carolina Emergency Management, was here today, thanks to the mayor, and he was looking at all of our blocked waterways, Flat Creek and the tributaries, to see what they can do to get those cleaned up. So that's good news. The weather has been difficult the last couple of weeks with all of the rain, but the guys are working on several projects. I'm sure you've noticed that the landscaping around Town Hall has really been cleaned up. And then they're also working on getting some guardrails in place before all of the conferees come in, especially the kids. So we want everyone to be safe. But things are, they're slow, but they're moving. And I am more hopeful about where we are with FEMA now than I was 3 weeks ago, certainly. So.
But still no reimbursement on that
Still no
300,000?
reimbursement. No, I don't know how long that takes. I know that the money has been released from FEMA to the state, which is actually who sends it to us. So I just don't know how long it takes to actually get the money, but I would think that we're talking, weeks, not months.
Yeah, I just noted, and maybe part of what you mentioned, cleanup, but I saw George Saunders hauling some twigs, and on my way down here counted 20, and there were other people too. There were 20 piles of stuff along Assembly Drive where, at least I know one volunteer, I assume other volunteers as well as staff was involved in cleaning up, and just want to thank all the people that volunteered. Wish I'd have been able to help them out. I didn't realize it was.
So that was some volunteers who were working with George Sawyer and the other folks who are working on the Flat Creek crossing to get that area and also part of Flat Creek cleaned up, and they worked hard getting a lot of debris out
They worked all
of.
the way to look at just
And
about.
they were going up Elizabeth's Path. So yeah, they're doing great work.
They're doing great.
And I'll have an opportunity for all of you folks in about a week or 10 days, as soon as if you'll notice, we've got 2 pallets of mulch across the street.
Right.
And as soon as Daniel gets the yard raked, we're going to have a work day and come down here with all the volunteers we
Great.
can garner
Great.
and spread mulch. So,
Well, if we can set a date, we can start publicizing it and
Yeah.
start getting volunteers.
I need to get
sign
with
up.
Barry and find out what what date he's going to be ready to do it. Okay? I'll get that.
Mayor Kathy Putnam, who works with with our a number of landscape issues, mentioned to me that and sent me an article. Apparently, the federal government is no longer going to fund FEMA clearing streams and that whole process, and everything is stopped. They're going to finish what they've done. The governor was very gracious and thanked FEMA for what they've done to date, and indicated he would support, he is going to support the state stepping in if it has to do that work, but ask the federal government to reimburse the state.
Right. That's why I had Joe Stanton over here today. He's the state guy who is over all the debris pickup, and he does Buncombe County. And I had talked to him about coming up here and meeting with us, and he called today and popped up here about 1 o'clock. And Barry and I took him all up and down the creeks.
That's great.
And saw, and I believe we'll get some help from the state. And it may go from the FEMA to the state to us, but I think he's going to give us some help because he came back here and talked to his two cohorts that were with him and told them what was expected, what we expected to do. So we'll see.
Terrific work on your part.
And I finally have it pulled up just to let you all know. A penny of the current tax rate of 43 cents generates $29,069.77. Sure, $29,069.77.
And guys, you might as well get ready for a tax increase next year. Savannah and I have already talked about it, and there's no avoiding it, I don't believe, and I have no idea what it's going to be. The mayors in the other communities, I met with them last week, and most of them are going to be raising taxes in their community. Buncombe County, I'm sure will. Plus, Buncombe County is going to go through a reassessment, and I don't know how some of these people are going to be reassessed on their property when it's probably in the Gulf of Mexico now. So we'll see. But if no one has anything else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just thank you, Rachel, for all of your work on the budget.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Rachel.
it.
Really
Thank you,
Yes,
Rachel.
worked hard on
Appreciate it.
this.
Have a motion to adjourn? So moved from Tom Widmer. Do I have a second? Second from Mayor Pro Tem Fache. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.